Right, we described Fridays as fantastic, but it wasn't fun for West Indies as they were whitewashed by visitors Bangladesh, losing the third and final T20 International at the crowded Arnarsville Stadium in St Vincent and the Grenadines on Thursday night. Bangladesh won the toss this time and continued their trend of setting a target for the home team to chase, producing their best showing with the bat this series, led by Zakir Ali, who went on to score a 41 ball and beaten 72 after a run-out reprieve, as the Tigers scored 189 for 7 of their 20 overs. Opening batsman Farfaz Hussain Eman added 39, as Romaria Shepherd was the pick of the Windies bowlers with 2 for 30. Chasing 190 for a consolation win, the home side struggles continued, slumping to 95 for 7 in the 15th over. Romaria Shepherd 33 and Johnson Charles 23 were the top scorers for the West Indies against Rishad Hussain's 3 for 21, as the Caribbean men fell for 109 in 16.4 overs to lose by 80 runs and be dismissed in 3 consecutive innings for the first time in 6 years. Well, Captain Rovman Powell lamented the series defeat.
All good things must come to an end. All bad things must come to an end also. It's just disappointing that we have finished the year so badly as a T20 group. But when you look on the duration of the year, we have played some good T20 cricket, but just not for long enough periods. The good thing is that we have some time off. You know, when things not going according to plan, you want to back off just a little bit instead of keep pressing. You know, we have 4 or 5 months off. You know, if we use that 4 or 5 months wisely and work on our game as individuals, and we try to put it together collectively as a team, then we should be okay.
The philosophical Rovman Powell, I wonder what mood Joseph Reds Pereira is in on this Friday afternoon as we get ready to analyze the performance from the West Indies. Reds, welcome again to the SportsMax Zone. How are you doing today, first of all? It's great to have you on.
Well, some commitments that a husband will have to the home, so I had a very busy morning running around chasing up a list of Christmas things to do, but we're not talking about a celebration here this afternoon, Ricardo and Lance. We're talking about a very sad story with the women, who you'll hear more about later, and the men losing back-to-back. It's probably really hurting a lot of Caribbean supporters.
Yeah, before I get to all the negatives, and I'm sure there are a lot of them coming out of this 3-match T20 International Series for the West Indies, let's talk about what I thought was a tremendous positive, and that was the crowd support at the Arnarsville Stadium in St Vincent and the Grenadines. Even though the West Indies were losing, even though they had lost the series, the fans still turned out in their numbers to support the team, and I thought that was very good to see, Reds.
Excellent. I mean, I think the Vincentians really stood up for the West Indies. It was a little taste of World Cup cricket for the first time in a long time, but they haven't seen the West Indies in a one-to-one situation for the last 10 years. So it was ideal. I think it was well promoted. We know about what's happening on the opening night with the great display, and I think that the St Vincent crowd and the Grenadines showed good support even when we were 2 down. So congratulations to them. And what they have done is that they have made a statement saying, you know, bring cricket to Arnarsville, we will turn up.
Yeah, very much the case, and that is fantastic to see. Of course, a disappointing series display from the West Indies. They started the year in T20 cricket with defeat to Australia, and now they end the year with defeat to Bangladesh. Of course, in the middle of that, for many, a disappointing World Cup performance. But when you look back at this series display, how do you analyze this one?
Well, I think the Bangladeshis were virtually on their home ground. I wouldn't be surprised if a journalist in Dhaka was to say that there's another ground that we now have. It's called Arnarsville. It's a ground across the sea, because they seem to be very accustomed, very at home to the conditions. I think they outplayed the West Indies in our backyard. And that was an indication during the World Cup that they played well there. Their spinners certainly enjoyed their time in the World Cup. They've added a new dimension in terms of their fast bowling attack, and they bat very, very deep. My quick response, I do not think that we played well. I do not think we were patient enough. I felt that we could have put together a better squad. I certainly thought we could have put together a better squad. And the top order batting was really the major problem for Darren Sammy and for the West Indies team.
Yeah, when you say put together a better squad, what are the changes that you would have made?
Well, I am on record in saying I'm surprised that they brought Andre Fletcher all the way from Sri Lanka to Huddersfield. There was an excellent chance of exposing Jangu, who had played brilliantly in St. Kitts, to give him his first one-day cap. One must realize that Johnson Charles hasn't had a lot of cricket of late. Since the operation in Jamaica, he probably has been practicing in the nets, but I'm sure he will admit that maybe he was well below his best form. The injury to Lewis came at the wrong time, because he had started to show some very good form in Basseterre, and I thought that overall, we just didn't seem to have the stomach for the fight. And when Bangladesh were in trouble in just about every occasion, they were able to dig deep, fight back. The middle order and the low order were able to get them out of jail.
Yeah, and Reds, do you suspect, though, that one change, not having Andre Fletcher in, and especially when you consider no Shea Hope, who is at the Big Bash, no Sherfin Rutherford, who is at the Big Bash, two informed players, that it would have made a significant enough of a difference to turn the result around?
Well, I think Jangu could have given you an option as an opener and an option as a middle order. And if Puran wasn't too keen on keeping, because he was off to the Big Bash very soon, he could have filled in that order. There was a discussion that I heard that if they knew that Hussein was going, which was a major loss, they could have had a like-for-like change, and maybe bringing a left-arm spinner to see what he's got. And I was thinking of Ned from Guyana, who has been very, very consistent. But they went for a fast bowler, and I don't believe that basically our batting really held the responsibility that they should have had.
Yeah, Reds, I want to bring something up here, because is there anything to be said about the fact that Phil Simmons was sacked as the West Indies coach? There are a lot of West Indians who don't regard his coaching abilities highly, but Liton Das, the stand-in captain for Bangladesh, spoke very highly of the help that Phil Simmons gave them and allowing the players to express themselves and so on. Is there something to be said about Phil Simmons being sacked as West Indies coach and then taking a Bangladesh team to whitewash a West Indies team?
It was a very good appointment for Phil Simmons, because he had an army of men who were willing to put their body on the line, who were willing to come good in difficult circumstances. He couldn't wanted a better bunch and to restart and really re-engage international coaching. I thought they were an extremely good squad. And I want to make the point that they really enjoyed the conditions. They really took advantage of the conditions, which we must not remember, which we must not forget. They seem to be much more at home in the Arnesville conditions than the West Indies. They were able to cope with both bat and ball.
You just said that he had a group of players that were willing to put their bodies on the line. Is there an inference there, Reds, that you don't think West Indies cricketers do that?
No, I wouldn't suggest that for one moment. But, when you lose the first game, it's not a good start. It's not a good start. And the other thing that I felt at the time watching is that, maybe we could have tried batting first when the toss was in our favor. But I think the feeling is that we prefer to chase as the Clive Lloyd and the Richard side. You used to want to see the target and go after it. But I'm certainly feeling that we didn't seem to mesh. I don't know if the players just were rocked by the first game defeat. But the middle order was totally in disarray, lads.
Yeah, the batting wasn't good, but the bowling wasn't too hot either. You look at the bowling stats, and all top five bowling stats are occupied by Bangladeshis, which suggested that they were far more successful than the West Indies as a bowling group. And you pointed earlier on to the fact that the conditions were embraced by the Bangladeshis, but would that be the only reason why their bowling was far more dominant than the West Indies bowling?
I think the type of bowling. I mean, Hussain was our best bowler. A lot of the West Indies bowling armory went for a lot of runs. The Bangladesh organization of their bowling seemed to be a lot more confident, a lot more consistent. They gave away not the many free-scoring balls that we did. A fair amount of dot balls, of course, was also a factor. But we just never got a good flying start as we got in St. Kitts. We had some brilliant starts. Lewis and King, already put together Hope and so forth. Very, very good top order starts. We were struggling from ball one, Lance and Ricardo.
Yeah, and when we heard the captain Robin Powell talk about his disappointment at the series and how the year ended for them, juxtaposing that with how well the team had been playing for the first part of the year, do you share his disappointment that the kind of fall off that they've experienced in the back end of the year is a huge disappointment given the trajectory, the upward trajectory that we had seen, months before?
Yes, I certainly felt it in his voice. I mean, I heard the interview, and you don't want to end the year with a break coming up on the losing side. You just don't want that to happen. And as he said, the individuals now must work on their game. I don't know if the factor of the feeling was a negative to the West Indies. Did you all feel that the Bangladeshi outclassed us in that area?
I thought generally in the T20 series that the Bangladeshis were better than the West Indies in every aspect of the game, Ricardo.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all, Lance. Definitely don't. Reds, I want to get in a quick question here relating to Jayden Seales made his T20 international debut last night. Of course, we've been impressed with his performances in the one-day international and test formats. And I know it's only one game at the T20 international level, but what do you make of him becoming a world-class, all-format fast bowler for the West Indies?
He has the potential of joining the list of greats. What the coaching staff has got to decide is how many formats they want him to play. And that's the same question, that has been asked or Charmaine Joseph. They feel that maybe they should be restricted to 2, but I mean, he's our probably leading test bowler, probably leading ODI bowler. Do I need to say any more?
I get you, Reds. Well, thanks very much. Tough on the West Indies, not able to win even a game in this Bangladesh series. Remember, they started the year with a 2-1 series defeat against Australia. That was down under. They had 2 series wins against South Africa. The disappointment of not going beyond the quarterfinal round of the World Cup. And now they finished poorly with defeats to England and Bangladesh. I think it will sting. But as the captain, Rovman Powell, said, with time, whenever you have these periods, sometimes you just need a little bit of time to go through what happened, strategize, and come again. Hopefully this West Indies team, because the quality is there, because the talent is there, will come better in 2025. Well, all the very best for the season, Reds, and we'll be chatting again soon, I'm sure. Take care.
Okay, enjoy the rest of the program. Let's hear what Vernon got to say about the women.
All right, that's coming up a little later on in the show. The West Indies women taking on India in the first one-day international, which will be played on Sunday. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone.